Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Dads live stream. We call it the Dad Tank, where you get the chance to grill company executives and get more information that will help you decide if this is an investment opportunity for you. If you're new to Stock Dads, we're a brand developing communities and resources for stocks, options, crypto, and more for the everyday retail investor, especially if you're a dad. We focus on education and mentorship above all else when it comes to trading and investing. I'm your host, Chris, and I have a very special guest with me today, Michael Mo, co founder and CEO of KULR Technology Group. KULR is aiming to be a one stop shop for sustainable energy storage and thermal management solutions. That includes battery packs which don't explode, battery cell screening, vibration management, and much more, all of which ultimately goes back to their tagline cooler, lighter, and safer. We've recently been covering KULR on our social media pages, and there's been a lot of interest from people, over 500,000 views across our videos. People want to learn more about KULR, and what better way to do that than to get insights from the man in charge. Good morning and welcome, Michael.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How are you? Thanks for having us.
Doing well. Very excited to speak with you here today. We are going to have a series of questions on my ends that we've gotten from people that are interested in the stock, comments from people, and some questions of my own. And then we're going to leave some time towards the end of the session for Q&A from our live viewers. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat as you see fit, or save it for when we open up the floor at the end. I see we already have some comments going on. Someone said, "Hi, Mo, my man." That's awesome.
Great.
This is going to be probably a little bit more informal than some of your other interviews. I know you were on the New York Stock Exchange and Bloomberg recently, right? So, we're here to have fun, but obviously also learn and get a better understanding of the company and things that shareholders really want to know. So, let's kick it off with a question that we always ask, given that we are stock dads, right? Are you a dad and do you invest in the stock market?
That's the probably the easiest answer question. Yes, I'm a dad of two sons. They're probably around your age, Chris. Shows how old I am. That's okay.
You don't look it.
Yeah. No, thank you. And I've been investing in the stock market since I think 1994 or abouts after I graduated from engineering school. So I've been in the market for almost 30 years now. Wow. And I've seen my fair shares of up and downs, including the internet bubble, Lehman crisis, the whole bit. So yeah, been around the block a few times.
That's awesome. Definitely the 90s. I was born in 1994, so that's pretty crazy. You
Yeah, I
definitely have a
told
lot of
you, right?
experience.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. So you talk about having that experience, and I know that you previously had a lot of years in the semiconductor industry. What inspired you to co-found Cooler and get into this realm?
Yeah. Well, my education is in the semiconductor industry. I have been in that industry for about 20 years before I started Cooler. So 2013 is when we started, and that's around the time that the iPhone, the iPad, and other portable devices, mobile devices, really start coming to the market. Then I realized that heat is a limiting factor for both performance and reliability for these mobile devices. So I started Cooler with Dr. Timothy Knowles, who's really the pioneer of using carbon fiber to solve these heat problems for NASA. Tim and the team has been doing that for 20 plus years. Back then, with NASA defense applications, and where performance, reliability, and weight is really the key deciding factor for those applications. So our mission back then was to apply the space-proven technology, the carbon fiber technology, to the world of electronics and to make them cooler, lighter, safer. And the goal was to apply to billions of devices. And fast forward to today, and I think I'm proud to say that the mission statement is actually more relevant today and important today than when we started a company 10 years ago. Now we're not just talking about electronics, we're talking about lithium-ion batteries for energy storage, e-mobility, EVs, electric planes, e-bikes, the whole bit, right? So and also battery go to the moon and go to space. So Frankly, batteries in everything that we use, touch every day, and keep them safe is critical, really, to power the electrification economy. So our technology suite is now addressing not just the semiconductor industry, but the $200 billion market opportunity for lithium-ion batteries. And we're taking that technology from Mars rover, International Space Station, to apply to this $200 billion opportunity. And that's truly exciting and inspiring to me.
Very awesome. Yeah, you touch upon NASA, all the different areas that you guys are in, aerospace and defense. You recently just announced those contracts with the U.S. Armed Forces. There's also, as you mentioned, lithium batteries. Is there kind of like a particular application for your technology that you're especially interested in? You think that can scale um, up really quickly within the next few years?
Yeah, I think we think the most promising application is energy storage. That's why we launched the KULR One platform earlier this year. Energy storage is expected to be about a $400 billion market by 2030. We believe that battery safety is one of the critical bottlenecks for the tremendous growth potential of this entire industry. So at KULR, we're laser focused on providing the best and the most comprehensive suite of technologies to enable this whole industry by solving this problem. We're doing with the KULR One platform, which really utilize the NASA battery safety design methodology and testing methodology. Combine that with the KULR's own IP and our know-how together with the NASA IP and so forth. And the goal is to create the safest and the most sustainable battery in the world, and also going to the moon. We believe the whole industry is going to move. The energy storage industry will probably follow the steps of cloud computing, where energy will become a service than just a product itself, where you can subscribe to in the future, like AWS, Amazon Web Services. So we're positioning KULR One to have the potential to be the AWS of energy, where you can serve multiple applications for multiple customers, like energy storage, e-mobility, power equipment, all in one form factor and configuration, so it can be easily reused, shared, and recycled most efficiently.
Yeah, I've heard you make that comparison to AWS and also Shopify. Is that right?
Yeah, because we're enabling technology, right? So Shopify is an enabling technology of e-commerce, like PayPal is a payment enabling technology. So we're the enabling part of the energy storage. We don't make battery cells in itself. We make the battery pack, and we create the enabling technology all around the battery pack. And then so that's the analogy to that. Regarding the AWS is where we believe the future will go towards more of a subscription model, more of a usage model, where it just allows lower cost of ownership, lower cost of operation for the customer, and then allow the finished product, which is the battery, to have better chain of custody, better ownership throughout the first life application, second life application, and all the way to be better recycling into the system.
Understood. So tell us a little more about that, the KULR One battery pack, and also recently as we mentioned earlier, you got first a contract with the U.S. Army, and then one of the parts of the U.S. Armed Forces. Can you tell us more about how that partnership is going to evolve and how it fits into the overall strategy? Like, I know you guys first started off very niche with just NASA, and then getting into more some of those other markets. So how does that kind of factor in?
Yeah, no, this is a very exciting opportunity for us to work with the U.S. Army and the Armed Forces with our KULR One platform, both from a technology and from a business perspective. On the technology side, we're applying our KULR One design solutions platform to work with Army on the next generation high energy silicon anode cells. These are battery packs that pack more energy, and therefore gives our armed force men and women more power and in energy time to stay on the battlefield. And obviously, these are very mission critical applications where safety, sustainability, and reliability is number one. So we're super thrilled that Army is entrusting the KULR One platform to design, test, build this mission critical high energy application. On the business side, you may know that Army is one of the largest consumer of batteries, other than the EV makers. So we're super excited about the revenue potential for this product. I think in the press release we talked about we're shortening the design to ready to manufacturing timeframe for this project to 1 year. So started April 2023, ends at April 2024. Get them manufacturing readiness, which is kind of record time for these folks. And so when you go to hopefully go to production in the second half of 2024, we expect that to create tremendous revenue opportunity for us. Furthermore, the technology and the insights that we're going to gain from just working, the highest requirement, reliability and sustainability requirement for these high energy silicon anode cells is going to be applicable across other commercial applications. So as you know, that the battery industry is moving towards much higher energy density cells, such as silicon anode, lithium metal, solid state batteries. So this really allows KULR One platform to extend to multiple chemistries and multiple configurations, which can provide a huge market for those batteries.
So if I'm hearing right, you do expect after this initial 1 year period for this to continue to be a very lucrative relationship?
I think that's the expectation. Obviously, you're working with the government, you're working with a lot of hoops that you got to jump through and make sure we execute. I think just by working with government agencies over the years, our experience has been that it's a lot of hoops to jump through, a lot of requirement. Like people say, a lot of red tape, if you will. But once you get in, these design wins could be very sticky. You just got to win the contract. You got to show your value, and long term, once we get to the second and third stage of production, these could be very sticky and very profitable, engagements for us.
Nice. And any further, I suppose not, but any further detail on that second contract? Some people were wondering, no amount disclosed for that one. Is that just for confidential reasons?
Yeah. So we have been trying to be as transparent to our shareholders and try to get our design wins and activities out there. But what I can share is that sometimes the larger the customer, the more sensitive they are with what we can and cannot say, especially commercial customers. So that's probably goes out, to everybody. And the sensitivity to the second contract in a dollar amount and so forth, that's also falls into that bucket. It's just a sensitivity around that and around the application.
Okay, fair enough. So moving on to your Q1 report, right? You also recently reported that nearly 800% revenue growth, very exciting numbers there. Obviously, as you continue to scale those revenue numbers, or that growth is something that investors are definitely watching. You also, with that second contract, also mentioned that you're pretty confident in Q2's results being reflective of that growth. Any further color that you can give us here today?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the Q2. Q2 is progressing really well. We expect to see a record quarter on Q2, continue growth build on the Q1. I think that when you look at a historical kind of growth and patterns, Q1 usually start a little bit slower. Last year was kind of an exception because we had some supply chain issues. But this year started with a really good Q1, and we expect that momentum both sequentially and year over year to continue. You see our gross margin over the years have been historically around 50%. So we also see Q2 in addition to the revenue acceleration, it will be a healthy mix of design service revenue with product sales revenue that should get the margin improvement. You should see, or we expect to see, increase the number of paying customers. Yeah, so all in all, I think Q2 is going to shape up really well, and um, and as we show to investors during our quarterly call, as well as other investor presentations, give them more color about how our business model works, from design to testing to certification, and go to volume production. So we expect that more customers will go into volume production towards the second half of 2023, and then have the momentum to continue, if not accelerate, into 2023 and into 2024.
Great information there. I wanted to say, should investors be expecting every quarter for some time to be a record quarter? Because as you're continuing to scale, you expect those revenues to increase, or is it not always going to be linear?
I think it will be linear. Going to we expect to be going to the upper right hand corner. How linear it is, what the slope is a little bit harder to say. I think the best view of that is when our CFO Sean Cantor illustrated in the quarterly call about the TTM number, trailing 12 month. That really shows what the trajectory is. And when you look at the trailing 12-month revenue slope, that was really shaping up to the upper right hand corner. So that's the benchmark that we're looking at. For 2023, our priority number one is revenue growth, because we've invested all these resources on the multiple platforms, the KULR One, the KULR Vibe, the SafeCase platforms, this year to monetize them. Number two is to control the cost. So we're doing a lot of work on that. And number three is getting a lower cost of or access to lower cost of capital. So all those three is going to drive the growth and long-term sustainability and profitability of the business.
Okay, that's helpful for everyone to understand. I think there are quite some concerns, at least from, I would say, probably the more shorter term minded people. But for people that are concerned about KULR's cash burn, you just mentioned that you are trying to control costs,
Mhm.
but how would you kind of allay those fears in more detail? Shouldn't investors be worried about that, worried about higher interest rates and debt, or potentially even dilution?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm glad you brought it up. That KULR, our management is very aware of these investor concerns, and we're working very hard on address this through the three steps that I just mentioned: drive revenue growth, reduce expenses, and look for access to lower cost of capital. Right. So on the revenue growth side, we believe in much position than in 2022 to monetize all the platforms that we built, the KULR One, the SafeCase, the KULR Vibe platforms, as well as the automated cell screening, which we announced the contract with NASA. We talked quite a bit about the successes that we've had with KULR One platform so far. We expect more successes to be shared on SafeCase and KULR Vibe in the near future. So we just really focus on monetizing in that top line revenue growth with good margins. On the cost reduction side, we've identified areas in marketing and operational efficiency where we can reduce expenses significantly in 2023 compared to 2022. Because we've made most of the investments already in our automated cell testing line, facility improvement in the San Diego office, 2022. So 2023 is we're going to generate revenue from those investments with good margin, and we expect cash burn in 2023 to be significantly less than 22. Furthermore, I think we touched a little bit about exploring lower cost of capital and non-dilutive capital as well to finance our growth. Now we have our North America manufacturing operational base established. We recently established a facility in Texas That's where our CTO Will Walker is based out of, very close to NASA Johnson Space Center, to lower the cost of operation and also be able to do a lot of prototyping and testing in Texas. With those infrastructure in place, we're looking for um, government funding sources such as the Inflation Reduction Act and others that we can that we can explore and get access to with North America and the operation. We're also exploring strategic relationships where we can lead to lower cost of lower access of capital and non-dilutive capital. So we've done a lot of groundwork the last couple of years for us to explore those financing options.
Got it. Right. If you look at the balance sheet, right, you can see that you guys have invested into R&D equipment, assets that you can, then use to, as you say, monetize. So to confirm, 2023 expenses should be lower than 2022.
That's the expectation, yes.
Okay. So if we look at Q1's, just to dial in a little more on that, in Q1's results, expenses did increase year over year, but overall for the rest of the year, you're thinking that it's going to be a more controlled spending.
Yes, that's the expectation. That's the plan. Q1, we still had some legacy programs that we need to finish, which we did, as well as marketing on CES and a whole bunch of other things, and that has come to pass. And I think that the combination of revenue growth, healthy margin expansions, and control costs is going to get us to a more sustainable level, and hopefully get to a path to profitability towards half of 2023 and 2024 that we can communicate to investors.
Okay, that's pretty big right there. So let me just clarify that a little more as well. So in that path to profitability, are you saying that you expect KULR to be on track for profitability within the next 6, 12, 18 months, or will you actually show a net profit within that time frame?
Yeah, I think that what I'm saying is that we will be able to communicate a path to profitability towards second half of 2023. Hopefully, 2020 Q2 number will start showing signs of both revenue growth as well as cost control reduction on that front, and then leading into second half of 2023 into 2024, then there is a path to profitability. Yeah, I'm not giving any
Okay,
timeline on whether it's 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. I think we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on that one yet, but that's definitely the on top of the mind of the management.
got it. Sure. That's still pretty impressive and something that people will definitely look for, hopefully with some color within the next few quarters then. So turning to long term then, I believe in your previous earnings calls, you've expressed that KULR is confident in hitting at least 100 million, is that right? If not 200 million in cumulative revenue for your battery packs by 2026. Is that still the case? And if so, kind of what is going to be the next step from there?
Yeah, no, I think that, like I said, the most exciting application for us is energy storage. That's a $400 billion market opportunity by 2030. We believe our quarter one architecture is where the future of the industry will go. Safety, sustainability, modularity, intelligence, and also offer a business model that enables and encourages second life applications and also battery recycling. I think this is the future, and we're gonna make it available now to customers. So we're seeing success with our DoD customers and other high-end value customers at this moment. We're focused on bringing these customers to prototype testing, production as soon as possible. So as these products starting to hit the market towards second half or later part of 2023, more customers from different verticals will see both the vision and the reality of the KULR One platform. So, and then we will have more of these customers sign up and accelerate their development, testing, certification, and go to production phases. So yeah, I'm still confident that over the next few years, I think it's 2026 is the number that you kind of referred to. The broader market adoption for the KULR One platform across multiple applications will take place, and we can scale up our business significantly. Whether it's 100 million, 200 million, I think that's TBD, but it definitely in a very significant growth trajectory going into that time frame.
Perfect. This is a question that came in from a viewer, and I definitely think it's important as well. Uh, so as you scale up and you try to reach those lofty goals, there are a lot of companies right now that are very concerned about supply chain. So making sure that it's sustainable and visible as well, uh, that it's auditable. So what is KULR doing to position themselves in the best place possible to make sure that supply chain is not going to be an issue?
Yeah, I think for us, supply chain is multiple parts of the components. One is the battery cell itself. That's a big part of the supply chain. The other one is the proprietary components technology that KULR put into the battery pack that enables this KULR One platform. So on the battery cell side, you guys probably know that we have a strategic partnership with Moly Cell Energy out of Taiwan. They have the manufacturing in Taiwan and part of North America, and so that is going to be really important for us to or have secured uh, a partnership where we can get supply to their high energy cells or high power cells to build a KULR One platform. That's really important, and that their supply chain is such that it's a lot less reliant on the Chinese the supply chain. A lot of the material supply chain is coming out of Taiwan, I think Japan, Korea, and North America. So that's a very good chain of custody for the battery cell supply for us to service the DoD customers, the aerospace customers, as well as some of our high value customers. That's on the battery side, and on the material side, we had supply chain issue Q1 of 2022. We've invested a lot of the resources over the last 12 months plus to move a lot of that supply chain to North America. So I think that transition has taken place. I think that a lot of our supply chain now is going to be in North America. So as we scale into the 2024, 5, 26 timeframe, as we mentioned, as we scale up to KULR One, a lot more supply chain is going to be here in North America. We have control over the manufacturing ourselves in San Diego, in our Texas facility, as well as our suppliers are also here in North America to ensure that supply chain security and availability.
Okay, that's very good. Definitely allays a lot of concerns. I think a lot of challenges that companies have obviously seen over the past couple of years, right? Especially in uh, the EV space and just manufacturing in general.
Yeah, I think there has been a lot of challenges. EVs are obviously a lot more complex than the battery pack that we built for KULR One. Probably a couple order magnitude more components and complexity. So I think that this is also, I think, its advantage to the KULR One platform, where we want to simplify the supply chain for our customers with really high quality battery cells. You know the chain of custody, you know where it comes from through our automated cell screening and the data gathering that we have worked with NASA and those folks on. That infrastructure could be applied to commercial customers, know exactly where the battery cells come from, which lot, which date, all the data around that, and have the confidence level about uh, both the supply chain and the data around that supply chain through the chain of custody. So that's super important. And and for them to have a single source of contact like KULR to provide the technology, the battery cells, and the data around all that, de-risk for the customer, de-risk for us, and help them to de-risk themselves. And all the business model comes around that. I think that's really in line with where the whole industry is going with the supply chain concerns.
Tell us a little bit more about that data side, because I think a lot of people are kind of focused on just the battery packs, but what data do you collect, and what actually goes on and do with, and how do you monetize that?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I think we shared the KULR One Design Solutions platform from kind of end to end. So there's two sides of data to that. One is the battery cell data. One is the battery pack operational data. The battery cell data is what we get from the cell maker on what lot, what date those cells come from, and go through our automated cell screening line uh, to to kind of age the cells based on the NASA Work Instruction 37, which age it for 12 months. It's like aging a wine, and when the cells get aged, the performance gets better. And some of the defects start showing up when you screen it afterwards. You can really tell, screen the good from the bad. And then so we get a lot of data from the behavior of the cell, both mechanical and electrical characteristic of those cells after 12, 15 months of aging. And then you put them into the battery pack. And so there's a lot of data already getting together per cell that go into the battery pack based on those screening and work instruction 37 by NASA. And then on the operational side, we've invested to build a platform called CellCheck that go into the battery pack. That is, we believe, is one of the most comprehensive um, state of health and state of operation platforms in the market that measures the vibration data, humidity data, and a whole bunch of other data around the battery cells during operation. So when you combine the data of per cell to the operational data through the life of the battery pack, then you really get, then you really kind of get an X-ray and your CT scan as an analogy to human being almost every day. So that's then you have full state of health, usage data, and that can give you predictive signals on if the battery pack if there's something bad that's going to happen to it, and then they can give warning signals to the customer and so forth. But more importantly, all that data through its usage give you the confidence level for second life applications and also recycling. So imagine that these high power, battery packs can go into like electric plane. Um, that requires the highest performance, so forth. But after about 2 years of usage, they lose maybe 80, 70%. Sorry, 20, 10 to 30% of the capacity. They're not as good for electric planes, but they're perfectly good for energy storage. So you can take those batteries and reuse them for another application. And then for energy storage, you can use it for another 5 years. And then you have the cell check and you have all the monitoring data to go with that. In the end, maybe to lose 40% or 50% capacity, and you can use it again for other applications or just recycle them with confidence that these cells are still good and how much recycling you can get out of it. So that kind of data, that kind of life cycle management and chain of custody management, I think is critical for these really high value, mission critical, and when you get to scale, they can be applied to everyday applications. Hopefully, that becomes the standard versus just a luxury in about a couple of years with our KULR One platform.
Awesome, very good. Goes into sustainability and making sure, like you said, you have consistent products for mission critical stuff. Uh, how much competition do you have in your field? I mean, whether it's the battery packs or the services.
Yeah. So that's a great question. Actually, I want to elaborate a little bit on the mission critical stuff, Chris.
Yeah,
As as important as it sounds for mission critical applications for the going to the moon and for the army and stuff like that, it's I think that to have a safe battery pack in your home, not to blow up, is as mission critical. And
sure.
nobody wants their house to be on fire. So I think every application is mission critical. In our view. But in terms of competition, I think that we're very unique in the marketplace that provides this really comprehensive, proven technology suite to address and to be laser focused on addressing this problem. Most of the competition we see are through internal development from the OEMs. And frankly, even some of the largest OEMs that we work with, like Lockheed Martin, like NASA, they're still looking for solutions. They're still looking for outside help that are really focused on doing what we do. So with our introduction of our new CTO, Will Walker, or Dr. Will Walker from NASA, about 6 months ago, he's really brought in a team of ex-NASA engineers, scientists, as well as other experts in the industry. I believe that we have the most comprehensive, the best solutions, and the best team to execute and to really laser focus on execute on this mission. Um, and we have worked really hard on uh, transitioning KULR from a component supplier to NASA and DoD to now a platform company that has integrating all these components in hardware and software and AI and testing capabilities, design capabilities, certification help, and all the way go to a quarter one platform. I think that positions us very uniquely in the marketplace to be the enabler of this critical battery safety technology for this multi $200 billion industry. So that positions us very uniquely. Just draw some analogy from the semiconductor industry. It's a semiconductor industry is a $500 billion industry going to probably $1 trillion by 2030 with AI and all those drivers. You have multiple segments in the semiconductor industry, like the EDA business and testing industry, equipment industry. All of them are $100 billion market cap industries that are very focused on just in their niche of supply enabling technology for the semiconductor industry. So this is our kind of a position, is that to provide this very focus on sustainability, thermal management, and safety on the battery safety side, and to carve out our space to be hopefully a multi-billion-dollar enterprise to serving that $400 billion marketplace.
Do you think you'll reach that multi-billion-dollar valuation? Uh, do you see yourselves as very undervalued right now?
Well, it's certainly our aspiration to be the path to a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. That actually should be the aspiration of every public traded, company CEO, founder, to have that kind of aspiration. So I would say yes, that's my inspiration, aspiration. That's what motivates us every day at KULR. Absolutely. Whether we're going to get there in what time frame, I have no idea. I think that was determined by the market and so forth. You asked a
Sure.
question. Yeah. So you asked a question about valuation. So I think that that's going to be, as CEO of a, KULR, it's going to be, I'm not going to speculate on my valuation or anybody else's valuation. What I can say is that we're really focused on uh, executing our mission. Um, and I think that when you compare, I think that some of the comparisons to us is about other, either battery pack companies or battery development companies. The difference is that a lot of battery development companies is working on chemistry, working on a lot of really interesting but challenging science. So there's still a lot of science to be proven for that. That's why you see the path to revenue is still into the future. Whereas we're taking proven technology and proven science and do engineering work on it to reduce the cost and increase the scalability of the manufacturing. So we've made significant investments in our infrastructure, and now we're really focusing on the commercialization of this technology, right? Taking from some of the most demanding customers like NASA, Lockheed Martin, and applying to commercial customers. So a lot of work has been worked on. A lot of de-risking of the business over the last couple of years have taken place to lower the cost of our product. Um, so, I mean, Chris, it's not easy to take a product that's on the International Space Station and use it for battery recycling, um, which is the case for a safe case, no pun intended. And just a lot of work on lowering the costs, different product requirements, different customer requirements, and get them ready for mass manufacturing. So um, uh, I think we're on the cusp of tremendous growth in 2023, and yeah, I think we're just super excited about the growth prospects.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think that a lot of people get caught up when it comes to investing in past performance, which obviously does not indicate, how a company or a stock is going to do in the future. And like you said, we're seeing increasing gross margins. We're seeing real revenue when a lot of other companies are not even, they're pre-revenue or pre-orders. And I think that you have a great chance to grow into the future and reach that, as you mentioned, path to profitability, hopefully within the next couple of years. So that's all really exciting stuff. My last question here, and then we can get into some questions from the live viewers, is just kind of a very broad question. Since you're kind of at the forefront of all of this innovation, where do you think the world will go, and what does it look like 10 years from now, or that 2030 that you mentioned?
Yeah, interesting. 2030 is a little bit too far for my imagination. I think maybe 5 to 10 year is probably a little bit more realistic. You want to talk about? I just see that the pace of innovation and in battery chemistry, battery science to accelerate over the next 5 to 10 years. Unfortunately, there's no Moore's law for battery. In semiconductor, there's Moore's law. You have doubling of performance and halving of the cost every 18 months,
Right.
even though that's slowing down quite a bit. But there's no Moore's law to that for batteries. But the global supply chain and investment is just really accelerated. So I think that's super, super exciting. And also a lot of new battery chemistry has come to market and come to awareness, right? Silicon nano, lithium metal, solid state, sodium, just so many different applications. So there's some parallels to be drawn between that and the semiconductor industry. One of the most, I mean, everybody loves the NVIDIA story, but when you look at what they have done is utilizing the GPU architecture, um, really going after different applications over the years. Started with gaming. There was like 30 gaming companies, chip companies. Now there's only one. There's NVIDIA, and then there's AMD who bought ATI back in the day. But NVIDIA is super focused on GPU, hardware, software. Now they're moving from gaming to crypto to cloud, and now it's AI. It's perfect application, machine learning, all that stuff. So I certainly hope that the area that we're focused on, which is safety, sustainability, and that with the KULR One platform, that is modularity, intelligence, reuse, that platform idea, that platform technology around all these key technologies is the future of energy, right? So we're building the safest battery, from the ground up, provide the most comprehensive data set, the AI capabilities around the life of the battery, and it go into a sustainable economy. I think that's just where the industry's got to go, going forward. And whether it's electric planes, electric cars, electrification of your stove, just everything in your life getting to the electrification economy, and all that technology and that philosophy of how that technology should work should be applicable. So I think that doesn't change the next 5 to 10 years. Doesn't matter what chemistry, what application that you're looking at. And this is where I think we find alignment of the KULR strategy, what we focus on, in our value prop in the entire industry. Um, is riding that wave. And we can go from application to application, chemistry to chemistry, but the underlying philosophy, like the GPU, doesn't change. And for another great semiconductor example is ARM Holdings, which they focus on efficiency, low power. So when iPhone and iPad came about, it's all about lower power, not higher processing power like Intel. So ARM became the dominant uh, CPU or architecture behind iPhone, Android phones, all the mobile devices. And that's about power efficiency. So you have power efficiency on the ARM side, GPU compute on the NVIDIA side. Those two dominate the, the semiconductor world now. So we try to draw parallels in the battery world. And so safety, sustainability, intelligence, um, and recyclability, and all that technology around that, I think that's going to drive a big part of the future of the energy.
Awesome. And hopefully, KULR is going to be definitely at the forefront of all of that change.
Yeah, hopefully it's right, but we're driving that change, and I think that as KULR One products become available in the marketplace later this year, through our customers, and through our own demonstration, so forth, and the vision become the reality, and more customer will see the vision as well as reality, and then jump on the KULR One platform.
Excellent. All right. So let's get into some of those questions that we have from our viewers. First one that I have here is from a guy named Holmes on the Harbor. And he is asking, will your technology be helping SpaceX anytime soon? Or I guess more broadly, any other clients in that realm?
Yeah, we are engaged with a number of commercial space customers. Other than what we have discussed publicly, won't really comment on any other names. But yeah, definitely in broader commercial space applications. That's a really kind of exciting area for us. Especially with our KULR One. We have a KULR One Space version that, number one, use battery cells that meets the NASA Work Instruction 37 through the cell screening, as well as the finished product will meet the NASA JSC 20793 revision E. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit nerdy out on this, but it's actually it's actually pretty exciting. It's pretty important, because all the batteries that you want to piggyback of NASA's crew mission rockets needs to meet that standard. And so otherwise you need to get a waiver and it's not safe enough. You go through the whole bit, but we're going to provide a off-the-shelf component or battery part that can, by default will meet those NASA standards. And as nerdy as it sounds, it's a pretty big deal, because these batteries, if you were to build it yourself or have NASA Johnson Spencer Space Center like Dr. Eric Darcy and his team help you build those, it will cost you millions of dollars to build these things, or at least $500,000, and then they will be available at KULR for um, much lower price. Let's put it that way. So and it's available. So That's, I think, the promise of the KULR One platform, that we're gonna, make. Don't invent the wheels. Come to us. We already have some of the wheels. We will customize those vehicles for you with proven technology, and I think that's the exciting part.
Okay. Question here. Have you seen positive results from higher density batteries responding to your products in terms of fast charging?
Yes, yes. That's a good question. Thermal management is definitely a key consideration for fast charging and also fast discharge for high performance vehicles like eVTOL, electric planes during landing, turns, takeoff. You need a lot of, as much juice out of those batteries as possible. So, a lot of fast discharge and fast charging as well. So thermal management is critical. So you need really good analysis tools, which we have a really good partner with, or a partnership with Gamma Technologies with their exciting tools, and we do multi level physics, modeling on our battery cells for that specific application, and then we provide the thermal technology, both take the heat away as well as insulate the heat during thermal runaway. So it's a tricky problem, but yes, this is something that we kind of our bread and butter to address these issues.
Okay. Thank you. And now moving on to this question, kind of a follow-up on the question earlier about your financing situation. Do you expect the need to do any sort of offering in the immediate future?
Um, I think we have, it's well documented that we have a facility out there which we can access capital from time to time without any public offering, which is something that we have avoided, or try not to do, because we understand some of the consequences of these offerings. But I think, like I said in the previous comment, the we're very diligent and we understand the investors' concern about this. So to address this issue is to really to get to revenue growth, uh, get to a good margin of products, both a good combination of services and product ramp, as well as control the cost, and having access to capital in the lowest cost possible, to minimize any potential shareholder dilution and disruption.
Understood. And I mean, ultimately, you guys are extremely aligned to shareholders yourselves, right? You guys are huge. If I'm not mistaken, insiders own 33% or so of the entire company, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Insiders, management, insiders, board directors, etc., own about a third of the company. I'm probably the single largest shareholder. So our interest is extremely aligned to shareholder value. That's it. To build long-term shareholder value. Short-term, very difficult for me to make judgment or comments about what the stock is going to do day-to-day basis and so forth. But I think longer term, the aspiration is get as capital efficient as possible, get as intelligent allocation of capital as possible, and the aspiration is to build $1 billion business. And that's really it. I think there's opportunity to do that. I think there's there is just absolutely. I mean, there's enough room to swing, right? There's no glass ceiling on what we can accomplish with this platform. We just got to keep continue to execute. And 2023 is going to be a really pivotal year for us. We got a great team in place. We got the infrastructure in place. We already built a lot of platforms that we are monetizing. We got a great customer base, and just put your head down, nose to the grind, and just execute. That's it. There's no silver bullet. Yeah, just work. Yeah.
Okay, incredible. I mean, we definitely appreciate the honesty and transparency. with some of these tough questions. Just a couple more questions here. We didn't really get a chance to speak too much about the uh, cooler vibe technology, but we have a question here on how much interest there is and how profitable you guys see that going in the future.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, no, KULR Vibe is definitely a incredible application we have acquired late last year. Started with the helicopter applications. We see, the increasing traction with both DoD and commercial applications on that. What we also find out is that customers are looking for total solution. So there's hardware, there's service, there's also the embedded hardware nature of it. So we're working on that to give the customer a total solution on that. So super excited about that development on the application side. And I think that moving from the traditional helicopter to the electric aviation, which the expectation from the market is that by 2024, 2025-ish, some of the commercial development would happen. So that I think that to get that embedded into the eVTOL electric plane applications, they're all rotor-based systems. That'd be super exciting for us. In addition, I think there is industrial and commercial applications which we're tuning the KULR Vibe uh, service with to address those. Those are, these are fans on your servers, on your HVAC systems, that makes a lot of noise and makes a lot of vibration, right? And then it turns out that vibration in server farms greatly reduce the some of the performance on your storage devices as well as your computing devices. So we're looking at those applications. They can reduce the energy consumption of those fans as well as reduce the vibration and noise being generated by those fans on your servers and your industrial equipment. And I think that we're working on getting the data on how much energy savings and how much faster access to speed that you can accomplish with this. So those are additional exciting applications for us.
Do you have to educate at all on that? I'm not in the industry, so for me, just reading that for the first time, I was like, I never even thought about vibrations being, important. But is that something that's kind of known in the industry? Like people really should be paying attention to this?
The education is right. I think the best education is just with data because our customers are engineers. And when you show data, when you show ROI, the return on investment, you just, proof is in the pudding. Show them how much performance they can get out of it. That's for high performance applications, how much energy they can save, and how much money they can save, or how much additional profit they can generate. It's all in the data. And so that's what we're focused on: generate that data and use the data um, to do the sales for us.
Okay. And we can look out for that data in the future here.
Yeah, I think, well, there's a lot of proprietary nature of that. So to the extent that when and how we can share some of that stuff with the general public, we would make that evaluation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, last question. Last question here, Michael. You touched upon the consumer side of things. So someone is asking, will you also at some point work with companies that use batteries like Apple and Google, big tech companies like that?
Um, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely right. A lot of companies that use batteries on the recycling. I mean, starting probably on the recycling side, a lot of the when you go to Apple, you do the Apple Care, you switch your old iPhone in for a new iPhone or other portable devices from other operators that you can switch them out, and all these batteries need to be shipped as hazmat goods. So our safe case is by working with surplus solutions is addressing a lot of these operators needs and questions, and to provide the most reliable and cost effective way to ship these hazmat products. So absolutely. um, then going forward, other consumer company, electronic companies, and so forth, using our KULR One platform for the energy storage products. That's definitely the goal.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Michael. That's all the time that we have here today on the Dad Tank live stream. This was really helpful. We answered a lot of questions and concerns that potential investors and current shareholders are wondering. So hopefully we have you back on because you're so intelligent and we have a lot of insights to give us, not just about the company, but also about the industry. So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for the kind words, Chris, and I look forward to speaking with you again. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. And we will have the recording on our social media platforms for anyone tuning in and wanting to watch this back. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and take care.